want to go back to Drink Champs real quick because I remember when you first started the podcast, you came on my show when I was in Miami before, and we promoted it, but it blew up. And I'm so happy for you that you created this lane to give kind of like the underdogs and old school artists their flowers.
Right.
That's how it started.
I mean, it's easy for us, man, being real fans. Like, EFN, you know, let me not forget him because I don't want to definitely say that I ever did Drink Champs on my own because that's just definitely not the case. And he was the guy that was pushing us. We actually had a show called Militainment Crazy Raw Radio before.
Okay.
I think
I may have heard
It's the same exact show. I promise you. It's
but just crazier.
No, it was crazier, but it had no guests. So we would just drink Tiger Bone. And then, and one day we had, it's called Tiger Bone. It's an herb.
Yeah.
So then one day, me and EFN, we was like, yo, let's try it again. And he was like, let's call it Drink Champs. So we didn't want to interview people that we didn't know because we got jokes, you know what I'm saying? Like our first thing with Fat Joe, I was talking about my boy Spiff TV. I was like, Spiff TV used to wash my drawers. And Fat Joe was like, what? You can't be saying things like that. And I'm like, that's my brother. That's a joke that we have. But if Fat Joe wasn't there, this would have been somebody else. They'd have been like, yo, I don't want to be a part of that. And Spiff knows this is all jokes.
Yeah.
But so the first two people we had was Kenny Anderson, who I grew up with, a basketball player, one of the hardest point guards in history at one point. And then we had Fat Joe. And when we played with them, when we was like, you got to shoot nowadays. You got to pause everything, man. Just walk in and just put me in the pause button. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like we were joking. That's a better word. We were joking with them, and when we joked with them, and none of them took it personal. That's when me and EFN said, we got something here. But it didn't really take us. It took us 8 months. And you got to remember, we didn't have no example of somebody else spending their own money and making this work. So it took us 8 months until we got that CBS break. And then CBS came in and they played ball with us. And it's been history ever since. And then, it was dope because for all of you guys that want to be independent, just so you know, it's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. But if you stick with it, it does pay off. But it was times, I can't lie to you, me and EFN called each other, and we wasn't on FaceTime, but it felt like we were looking at each other like, are we sure we want to do this? Mm-hmm. Like we were like 60, 80 grand in the hole. Mm. And we were paying for our own flights. We was paying for the food, for the engineers. We was paying for the drinks. We was paying for everything, and then we just got smart. And we was like, you know what? Let's get down with people that want to be down with us. And we started to learn how to move, but then this corporate money came in, and then we moved from there. But it's like I see my rapper friends all the time. Mm-hmm. They're like, yo, I want to start a podcast tomorrow and drop tomorrow. And I'm like, buddy, it's not the way this works.
That easy.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the way this works.
And also, you got to be entertaining.
Yes.
You have to be quality.
Yes.
I think that the market is overly saturated with podcasts. Mm. I do not want to hear everybody speak on something that they don't have authority over.
Yes.
You coming from hip hop, I'll mess with it because you are experienced in that way. You feel me?
You know who I was going to sign?
Who?
And only a couple of people know this. DMX.
You was going to sign DMX?
DMX, before DMX passed away, I believe.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yes,
this is a story.
Yes. Before he passed away, DMX got a apartment down the block from my crib. I don't know if he knew it. I guess he just wanted to be away from South Beach. So I didn't know if he knew it, but we would meet almost every day. And I would test him. I would be like, yo, I'm not going to own your podcast. Because anybody I sign, I want them to own it, their stuff like I owned it. I want them to have that same experience, even if they don't want it. I want to give you that experience. And if you don't, you know what? We'll buy it. We'll buy it off of you later, but I want you to do it. So that was something I was learned from DMX before he passed away.
Wow.
Was he was a different person. Like, he was on time. So I would say, yo, meet me at 4 o'clock. And then he'll come at 4:05, and I'll be like, this doesn't work for me. And he's like, what, N.O.R.E? I can't be 5 minutes late. I'm like, no. If you 5 minutes late for your guest and your guests leave, then what happens? I'm like, you're supposed to be, and then we was working on it.
You can't think about as a performer. You got to think about you are in media now. It's
and by the time that 4th week came, he was beating me to the spot.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, yeah. And it really wasn't about him on camera, because I knew he could perform on camera. It was about him changing like his model or how he rolled, and he did that, and he went to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta he went to New York, and I had never seen him again.
Oh wow.
But that was my first thing. we was going to sign right now. We
as a podcaster.
As a podcast, I was going to be the first one. Big up to Miss Jones. We working out with her. Big up to Biff Bleak. Who else we got? We got a couple of more. We trying to get Tony Yayo, but Vlad TV is cutting our throat.
Yo, Yayo's so funny. I remember he told that story about me saving lives.
Oh yes,
up in here.
Yes,
Shout to Tony Yayo.
Yeah. So
that was a good story. I forgot about it until he reminded me. I was like, that did happen. Speaking of which, did you ever, within your podcasting experience, interview anybody that you had beef with or tension with?
Absolutely.
Who?
We all had beef at one point in the 90s.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
90s. So, that's the beautiful part about it is people growing with people. Definitely somebody I need to interview that we had a little smoke with is Keith Murray. You know what I mean? I just felt like at the time when Keith Murray's state of mind wasn't right. But I saw him the other day, and I saw him in the Bronx. And I came down.
How's he doing?
He looked like he was doing good to me. So he had a mask on, and I was out of line. I was trying to take his mask off, like, 'cause I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know, like, it's Keith, me and you. You know what I mean? And we took a picture. His mind state was in the right. But after interviewing certain people, like, you do have a certain responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
But where did the beef start with you and Keith, though?
No, it wasn't no beef. I was just giving you an example.
Attention,
like,
okay.
There's other people that I probably don't really want to mention. But even even back in the days, like I didn't never have beef with Havoc, but Havoc and Capone had beef. You know what I'm saying? And I interviewed Havoc like 3-4 times. You know what I'm saying? Me and Traj had back and forth battle beef, and I'm trying to get him on the show tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool, and it's cool for me to step back and give people flowers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I loved, when Cameron came on our show, and I don't want to say me and Cam was ever competing because we weren't, but we were in there like that same kind of, like, we could have easily been Redman and Method Man if you put us together for any while longer. And and Cam sat on my show and said, I ain't trust you at one point, dog. And I was like, damn. He didn't hold back at all. I was like, tell me how you really feel. And he said, he was like, yo. And he said a situation that I had no control over. But I love that. I love the fact that, you can grow. You can grow without being bitter, like all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the reason why I had jokes about Dame earlier, because Dame had taking shots at me, and I'm just having fun with him back, like, you know what I mean. But I never got paid for these movies, dog.
But for real,
I never got paid for these movies, dog. Where's this black excellence you be talking about? Where's the CEO thing you be talking about? You CEO paying yourself, nobody else.
Yo, but for real, you saw how Dame ran up on Lee Daniels when they did that
I should run up on
Diana Ross concert.
Nah.
It was peaceful because it was at the Diana Ross concert, so they couldn't really, go too deep with it.
I respect
a Diana Ross concert.
Yes, I respect Dame. But I just wanted to point out the fact that he said that. He said that I went at him. This is on camera, and I want him to know that for years he been asking me for the plug, and who you think the plug was? I told you who the plug was, and you kept pursuing it. If I would have set up that meeting, you would have took it. You and I know what's going on.
Oh. Okay, but I'm
yeah, that was meant for you to be confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna dig any deeper if you don't want to give it to me.
That's all love.
Okay.
Yeah.